To me, Baba, it is a good lesson for the American African people to understand that the only rights you have are the ones you are willing to die for. Everybody who sees you knows exactly what you are. And what you are shouts so loud in the face of the Caucasian, the Arab, the Asian, the East Indian, the Latino, the Native American. What you are shouts so loud in their face and in their space that regardless of who you are on the individual level, it cannot undermine, replace, or distract from the fact that you are still black.
My phone ain't even on. Let me see. Yeah, yes it was. I apologize. So on the phone line with us on the Zoom line is Dr. Umar Johnson, and we're going to talk about this fight that we are in. Good afternoon, Dr. Johnson. Are you here?
Peace and Pan-Africanism, Baba David. Good Garvey Day from Huntsville, Alabama.
Hey, Huntsville, Alabama. All right, good. So how you been, man?
I've been doing well. Just had two powerful events here in Alabama. Friday night, I keynoted the 60th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March for the Voting Rights Act. As you know, on March 7th, Bloody Sunday, 1965, John Lewis had led a delegation of Africans on the Selma to Montgomery March. And when they got to the other side of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they were attacked by the police and a posse of citizens, and they were driven back. 2 days later, on March the 9th, the good Reverend Dr. King tried to repeat the march, but he too was forbidden for crossing the bridge. And then finally, on March the 21st of 1965, with the protection of the National Guard provided by President Lyndon Baines Johnson, Dr. King, Queen Mother Coretta, Ralph Abernathy, John Lewis, and the others, they successfully crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge and completed the 4 to 5 day march from Selma to Montgomery, which, as you know, ultimately culminated in Lyndon Baines Johnson signing the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But what I want to highlight, Baba David, is the ancestor of focus at Friday's event was actually the foot soldier, the local organizer who invited Dr. King into Selma, Alabama, because as you know, the foot soldiers, they rarely get the attention that they deserve. And that foot soldier's name was Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Reese. And I had never heard of him until I was invited to keynote that event. And he was actually the brains and the brawn behind that movement. He actually brought Dr. King in. And although Dr. King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference got most of the credit, understandably so, without the work of Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Reese, that would have never happened, and Selma would not have been the birthplace of the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
And you know what's so interesting, Dr. Johnson, is that we collectively went through all of that to accomplish what? To become where we are today. Where are we today after all of that? I mean, we had civil rights, we had voting rights, we had, and now they're taking all that away. Where does that leave us at now after we went through all of that?
Well, the thing is, Baba, and before I respond to that, I also wanted to mention and give a very special shout out to the students of HBCU Oakwood University here in Huntsville, Alabama. They invited me to campus yesterday. Powerful program. The students showed up and showed out. Jam-packed audience. One of the most powerful receptions that I have ever received at a college campus. And that was yesterday at HBCU Oakwood University. So shout out to those students. I've been posting pictures of them all morning on my TikTok and Instagram. And Oakwood University, Baba, is actually built on a former slave plantation.
So what was the purpose of their gathering yesterday? To commemorate or to generate more interest now?
I would say to raise the consciousness of the students as to where we need to be headed and what we need to be focusing on. At this point, Bobby Day, because we're still in the month of March, I still kind of treat my college visits right now in March as a continuation of Black History Month. So I kind of stayed with that theme. Coincidentally, my visit to HBCU Oakwood University yesterday came a day after the 60th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March and the subsequent Voting Rights Act. So for me, I still saw it as a continued celebration of the Voting Rights Act and the Selma to Montgomery March.
Oh, so we have the Voting Rights Act, but still a lot of blacks act like ain't no need no voting.
Well, the thing is, Baba, and to your earlier question, the reason why we are losing ground is not just because of the aggression of racism, but because of the passivity of Black America. We are a willing participant in this rollback of Black people's rights because we don't fight anymore. We are disorganized. And to be honest with you, Bobby David, we are very comfortable with where we are. Most Black people cannot see beyond the immediate comforts of their environment. They can't see beyond the nice house. They can't see beyond the Mercedes. They can't see beyond the fake hair. They can't see beyond the Air Jordans. They can't see beyond the fancy restaurants, the cell phone, or their YouTube account. We have literally been hypnotized by useless conveniences, and our addiction and attraction to these useless conveniences are going to be the very thing that America uses to distract us long enough to lynch us with. During President Obama's administration, it was the image of the Black president in the White House that distracted Black people from the fight. So we took 8 years off of doing anything for ourselves as it relates to fighting against the power structure. But with Obama gone, social media and the conveniences of American society has largely taken his place as the leading distraction in Black America that's keeping us from focusing on our own agenda.
Yeah, I say that we have been sedated. They have sedated us with, like you said, with the social media and people thinking that, they don't want to get involved. But what's going to happen when they get their pink slip? What's going to happen when their institution closes? Then will that wake them up, or will that just make them think that they still want to become a part of this American society?
We want to be a part of the system, Baba. And Black people don't want to admit it. But for most of us in America, our number one objective in life is to be accepted by Caucasians or die trying.
Wow.
Period. We want our children to be accepted by Caucasians. That's why we send them to white private schools. We pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year for our children to be mistreated at these white private schools. Because for most Black people, their definition of success includes approximation to white people, imitation of white people, and validation by white people. Let me say that again. For most American Africans, that includes our immigrant African brothers and sisters, that includes our Caribbean African brothers and sisters, that includes our Canadian African brothers and sisters, Central and South American. For those of us across the world, Baba, this is not just an American phenomenon, although we're focusing on this particular demographic here. But the truth of the matter is most members of the African race, nearly 2 billion people worldwide, their goal in life is imitation of Caucasians, approximation of Caucasians, and validation by Caucasians.
Yeah, I would say because, a lot of people want to belong to the winning team, want to be a part of the winning team. And they see and think that the American society is winning. And if you can't deny it, they appear to be winning, depending upon how you look at it. If you look at it on a spiritual level, they're not winning. But on an economic level, they're seen to be winning, and people want to belong to that winning team. But once you realize it and have awakened to what's really going on, then you understand that they really are not winning. They're just a prolonged losing energy. In fact, I often wonder, I say, when we were talking about the Pettis Bridge demonstration, they did that then, but now it's like they still can't seem to understand that they still doing the same things to us today that they did to us back then. Only now they've taken the gloves off, they've taken their hoods off, and they are publicly saying, we don't care what y'all think, we don't care how y'all feel, this is the way it's going to be. To me, it's like they don't understand evolution. We should have evolved past that, but now they want to take us back to that. When in reality, the evolution is going to take us to where we have to be, not because whether we want to be or not, but evolution is going to take us where we have to be. We evolve from that to this, and we're going to evolve into something else as we move on. But they think that they could take us back to where we were before 1950.
Well, the thing is, Baba, to your point, I have two ideas on that, two thoughts. Number one, our elders of the black community have to take accountability for the fact that after Dr. King's assassination, when desegregation came to America, we were so happy that we could finally go to the bathroom with them. We were so happy that we could finally send our children to college with them. We were so happy that we could finally live in the suburbs with them. We were so happy that we could eat in the same restaurant with them, that we completely lost sight of the black agenda. This is something that we do not talk about. The very people who struggled and fought and accomplished the 1964 Civil Rights Bill and the 1965 Voting Rights Act, they were so overcome with joy after finally being accepted symbolically and socially into white society, Baba David, that they stopped teaching the children who they are. We did not inculcate, we did not condition our children with that spirit of fight, with that spirit of legacy, with that spirit of unity. So when desegregation came, the need to train the children in the spirit of struggle died with desegregation. It died with desegregation. And that's why today, many of our young people in their 20s and in their 30s, they don't understand the struggle of black people because their grandparents, ironically, their grandparents, the same people who fought for desegregation, failed to pass the legacy down to their grandchildren. And the other point, Baba David, takes me back to Dred Scott. This takes me back to Dred Scott, 1857, when Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger B. Taney said, the black man has no rights that white men are bound to respect. The reason Donald Trump can sign away DEI, although it didn't benefit us, so it's not a big issue for me, the way he can sign away critical race theory, the way he can sign away the Department of Education, the way he can sign away all the social service programs that grew out of the civil rights movement, to me, Baba, it is a good lesson for the American African people to understand that the only rights you have are the ones you are willing to die for. And if you are not willing to die for any right that you have been given on paper, then that right is not a true and living right. You have to fight for it. King fought for it. Medgar Evers died for it. Black people want the government to do right because it is right. That is a complete contradiction of our history in this country. The white man has never done right because it is right. The white man has only done right because black people were willing to die, fight, and use our might.
I don't see that energy out here today, though, where they're willing to die or fight. And you talked about a black agenda. Is there an overall black agenda? I know here at WURD with Solomon Jones, he has a black agenda that he's promoting economically. They were out at Hakeem's bookstore yesterday to talk about the black agenda. But is there hey, Patrick, how you doing today? I see you over there.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Good. So is there a mass black agenda here in America? And if not...
There isn't. There isn't. And the reason why there is no consensus on a black agenda is because there are competing interests. Remember, wherever there are competing interests, you cannot reach a consensus. The reason the Mexican Americans can reach a consensus, the reason the European Jews can reach a consensus, the reason Chinese Americans and East Indian Americans and Native Americans can reach a consensus is because they do not have competing interests. We have black people who are different groups are looking for different things. Some black people want genuine freedom. I want genuine freedom for my people. You want genuine freedom, but a lot of our people don't want genuine freedom. Some black people are only fighting for a better job. Some black people are fighting for a seat at the black bourgeoisie. Some black people are fighting for a grant. You know, everybody's fighting for something selfishly that doesn't really have much interest to do with the people. We can't get to a consensus until we stop the competing interests. And one of the things that we're going to have to do is really figure out who is absolutely serious about black liberation, economically, politically, spiritually, socially, psychologically. Who is absolutely dedicated to black liberation? And if you are Baba David, you must also be dedicated to black institutionalization, because the next great struggle, as we've talked about it before, it is a struggle for black people to recreate the independent communities that we had in the days of the right, excellent, most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. We have to recreate Tulsa. We have to recreate Rosewood. We got to recreate Wilmington, North Carolina. We have to recreate Charleston, South Carolina. Those great black societies that we built with our own two hands, only 50 years out of slavery, is what we need. Institutions are 50% of the solution. The other 50%, Baba David, is you have to fight to protect your independent communities from white sabotage and destruction. So half of us still got to fight the system, but the other 50% of our work should be dedicated to building ourselves up. Look at all the HBCUs, Baba David, that have closed down in the past 30 years. Absolutely embarrassing to a $2 trillion people. We should be buying up all the abandoned HBCUs, and those abandoned HBCUs should be the foundation for the Black Wall Streets of the 21st century. If we are not building, we are not serious.
We have to take a commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about the supporting of black institutions. And I say, why can't we do a roll call? They have polls that see where people's feelings are. Why don't we do a roll call and ask blacks, are you going to stand with us, or are you going to remain with them? You know, it's plain and simple. They have to understand we are at war. You know, we have to begin to take sides, because they have taken a side and they are definitely against us. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back with Dr. Umar Johnson here on New Worldview with David Barnes, Patrick, and Jadu at WURDradio.com. We'll be right back. You too, and I'm your host of this, Dr. Umar Johnson, edition of New Worldview. We were talking about Black Agenda, and I was saying that maybe we should have a roll call to see where black people stand, or whether they want to stand with us or continue to try to fit in with them. We'll never be able to fit in with them. So, Patrick, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes. Dr. Umar, you are welcome, and I want to thank you for this conversation today. I think you said it right. You said it perfectly right. The Black Agenda, it is actually there. But we don't have a group agenda. We have individualized agenda. Most of blacks, especially some of us from Africa, we are only here. I don't know if that is the right statement to make. We here for the peace. And we just here taking advantage of what peace is actually here, and just going to work and making a living, and don't even worry about what happened in the past and what fights people fought for before we came here. And I can see most of us do not even worry about what is happening around us to actually join the fight. We are only, going through. Some of us become, I don't know if I use the word, just, feeding into what is there and just going to actually make a living and don't even worry about the fight. But the Black agenda is there, but it's not a group agenda. The agenda has become individualized agenda, and if we do it that way, we're not going to succeed.
That's a very well point. And one of the things that I am trying to formulate now, Brother Patrick and Brother David, is how I'm going to mobilize those under 30. Because as you know, the truth of the matter for both Black America and Black Africa is the greater portion of our population is 30 and under. And so they're the future, and they're the ones who are going to have to live with the consequences of whatever we do the next or don't do the next decade or two. And because I'm probably the most popular non-celebrity amongst our youth in this country, I have to use that influence that I have to bring them into political consciousness and to bring them into political action. So I am currently working on some things now to do that, because it's a lot of power and I cannot afford to waste their energy. And so I'm going to be working on that. But it would be a very powerful thing if we could somehow have the adults ready to train and receive and work with those young people when they come to the table, because they're still going to need that guidance. As the African proverb says, old men for wisdom, young men for war. But if the elders and if the adults are so consumed with the pursuit of money, we have a very big problem in Black America, especially amongst Black men, where our whole life is dedicated to the pursuit of money. And I'm not talking about a brother struggling, looking to make sure he has enough income to pay his bills. That's different and that's understandable. I'm talking about Black men who are already at a relatively comfortable place in their life where they should be dedicating more time to the rebuilding of the community, but they would rather just chase more and more money so they can consume more and more materialism. I mean, this type of illness is very prevalent amongst the celebrity class, is very prevalent amongst the hip-hop industry, where you see Black men who already got enough, at least enough to hold them long enough to give back to the people, but rather than focus at all on the people, they would just rather to continue chasing money and materialism. Our addiction to European capitalism is going to be the downfall of Black people if we don't divorce ourselves from it.
Well, I kind of disagree with you when you say that you're one of the most popular non-celebrities. I would say, why did you think yourself as not a celebrity? You a celebrity.
I hate the word, but
I understand, but
the connotations of celebrity, though.
Right.
You know what I mean, Baba?
I understand, but I'm a celebrity.
You don't think of activists. You don't think of sacrifice. You don't think of organizing. You don't think of struggle.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why I don't really like to use the word.
Yeah. It should be. You got to go.
And also, what I also want to add to that is that Dr. Umar, we have come to the point where we have been sensitized to actually hate our own plans, because, like you said, most of us Blacks who have a little bit of money, we've been compared to Caucasians to see how good we are doing. And so if we're doing this good, there is no need for us to even fight for anything else. There is the need for us to continue to have that comparison to show that just because we're doing better is because other people are not doing what they're supposed to do. That's why they are not at the level of the desired goal. So we've been desensitized to actually hate ourselves. Those of us who copy the Caucasians and want to live like them, and we have some money, then we are considered to be in the class. And so we were made to understand the fact that we don't even have any problem at all. So why do we even have to fight? Well, you're on our side.
Yeah,
but so psychologically, we've been made to hate ourselves. We've been made to hate our own agenda, to go for their agenda because it makes sense to them. than us.
Well, gentlemen, I have to take an emergency break, and we'll be right back after this brief break. FM 900 AM streaming live worldwide at WURDradio.com. We're on the phone line with Dr. Umar Johnson and Patrick Njadu. We were talking about a black agenda and about the war against blacks here in America. I would say I can understand what Patrick was saying about, people, not just Africans coming here to America looking for, he said, joy or peace and a pot of gold. And I understand because, if you got a family, you got a wife and children, and you have a job, and you say, well, if I start making too much noise, they're going to fire me from my job. Then how am I going to take care of my family? I can understand that part. But as Dr. Johnson said, sometimes those things seem mighty selfish and individualistic because, what's the sense of you doing good, your family doing good, but all your neighbors are being deported or destroyed? Or just being messed up. So I wonder what is the agenda that they have in Africa that makes them so communal instead of individualistic?
Well, I think when you talk about African society, it is the foundation of the culture to identify with the group. So there is no individual success apart from the village. Mm-hmm. And that village identity, we don't have that. We have it when it comes to religion. We have it when it comes to fraternity. We have it when it comes to gangs. We have it when it comes to professional affiliations, but we don't have it when it comes to race. And a big reason why we no longer have it when it comes to race is all of the pain and the struggle that we've been through has forced a lot of black people to no longer want to be associated with their race. They see their race as a aspect of baggage. Being black is a burden that I don't want to carry. That's why it's been so easy for us to be seduced into calling ourselves people of color. That's why it was so easy for us to be seduced into calling, ourselves just Americans, irrespective of race, although no one does that but us, because we're trying to discharge this burden of race, failing to realize that you can't. Everybody who sees you knows exactly what you are. And what you are shouts so loud in the face of the Caucasian, the Arab, the Asian, the East Indian, the Latino, the Native American. What you are shouts so loud in their face and in their space that regardless of who you are on the individual level, it cannot undermine, replace, or distract from the fact that you are still black. And the reason that is most other groups practice a in-group consciousness. And in order to protect and gatekeep their culture, they have to be hyper-vigilant to infiltration from people of other race. So the fact that black people are trying to be accepted for things other than their race is absolutely ridiculous. No one is ever going to put your religion in front of your race, although you do. No one's going to put your nationality in front of your race, although you do. No one's going to put your socioeconomic status in front of your race, although you do. Black people are judged as a race, as a singular entity, and we try to go out of our way to disidentify from race as much as we can. You hear black people keep talking about how diverse we are, and we are diverse. We're the most genetically diverse people in the world. We're the most socially diverse people in the world. We're the most spiritually diverse people in the world. But that should not distract from the fact, as Sheikh Anta Diop taught us, that there is a cultural unity that undermines all of Africa and all of African people. So although we can embrace our differences, we still have to recognize that we have a lot more in common that we could ever have that's not in common.
And one of the things that Dr. Malifia Asante said that stuck with me forever is that one of our biggest challenges is that we have a cultural deficiency, whereas a lot of other ethnicities, they have a cultural glue which holds them together. We have a cultural deficiency which keeps us separated.